This episode has been sponsored by How To Social, the premier digital marketing agency for real estate agents and loan officers. Go to howtosocial.com to join the movement. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I have special guest, Gene Griffin. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Paul? How you doing?
Man, I'm glad to have you on board, man. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on, dude. I know you got a lot of great things coming up that you're cooking up.
Oh yeah.
And man, I'm just excited for you to be here, man.
So happy to be here. Very stoked to talk with you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Okay, so so really, before we get into the business stuff and everything, man, I really just want to, when my guests come on, I really just want to know about them. Because,
Sure.
So we've had conversation about this before, and it's like everybody that's actually done really amazing things in business and just really just grinded through it and really came out the end. I feel like those people, man, they're just a special set of people. And there's always an interesting story behind it. And that's what I want to know, man. I want to know, like, what's the interesting story behind it? How you came up? What did you grind through? And then, where are we at now? Right. So
Sure.
tell us a little bit about kind of early on Gene Griffin, before the beard, Gene Griffin.
Man, before the beard, behind the beard, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up, pretty modestly in Northeast Texas, Longview, Texas, specifically.
Longview.
Man, family was everything growing up. My parents were wonderful people. We had everything we needed: love, support, clothes, food, roof.
Right.
But not much else, man. My dad was a classically trained musician, Army veteran. In fact, he played drums in the Army rock and roll band. He joined the Army, saw a tryout, which he was already a drummer, got the job. So his job in the Army became touring around on a bicentennial year, 1976, and playing rock and roll for the troops and the people.
Holy cow. And we can make a whole podcast just off of that. Man, that your dad sounds like the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool cat. In fact, he still plays to this day. But I remember growing up, dad working 3 jobs, 4 jobs. Mom stayed home with us, but she also had her own talents. My mom was a very talented artist in many mediums. So a very creative household, very loving household, just not the best with money. And we ended up losing our property. This was back when records weren't very great with the banks, and they'd make some payments and those payments would not be reported.
Right.
So
yeah,
it was kind of a struggle growing up. I remember, in a trailer house in East Texas, if a tornado or storm rolled through in the middle of the night, we were down in a ditch with a blanket over our heads with the whole family. But again, not to take anything away from my parents, they're wonderful people. And,
right.
I wouldn't trade those struggles in for the world. It makes me who I am today.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say, like, man, just, because, a lot of you guys, some of you know my story, but man, it 100% shapes you. It shapes you for the future of who you are. Now, it can have some negative effects, but if you fight through those negative effects, man, it just, that's that saying that says, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. Mm-hmm. That is 1000% true, man. I believe in that. 100%.
Man, I'll tell you what, look, you can allow your past to define you, or you cannot allow it to define you. You can allow it to define you in a negative light, right, or a positive light,
right,
know. And it was funny, we've talked about this before, but I was perusing TikTok, trying to figure out TikTok, which I think I'm getting there, but I ran across this interview, and it was a ex-CIA operative, and he was talking about how the CIA runs studies and they attribute a certain amount of childhood trauma to highly driven people. So if you don't have enough trauma or any childhood trauma, potentially you could be kind of soft, and that's all right. No offense. Hey, good, more power to you. But if you have too much trauma, it can, relate to addictions, whatever that looks like,
right.
Negative connotations in your life and negative outlooks. But if you have kind of a sweet spot of trauma, man, it just drives you because you have something to prove that you're
Right.
not where you came from,
Right.
or you can do better, or
Right.
you can help. There's just that drive. It's kind of like that personal chip on your shoulder.
Man, listen, I live that every single day, man,
I hear you.
and you're right, and I hate to say it. I mean, I hate you're right by saying that, but I hate to say like, hey, it's just the perfect amount of drama,
Right.
but I think what it is more is it's a choice, right? You
Uh-huh.
choose because I remember when I was little, man, I would see all the people that I tell the story all the time. Like we would go trick or treating in the rich houses, right?
Hmm. Oh
But
yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
but this is the thing though. I go back today and I go and I because I would forever driving back to the old neighborhood and I would show my wife and daughter. I was like, hey, this is what we considered the rich houses. But now that I go
Correct.
back, they weren't rich houses. They were just
Yeah.
they were just regular houses, right? But to me, my perspective was, man, that's the rich homes, right? Those
Right.
those where the rich people live, and it really wasn't that. But again, like I said, you're right. It's a choice because
Mhm.
I myself I could easily went off in the wrong direction, and
Yep.
and be honest with you, I kind of was early
Yeah.
on, and
Same. Right there with you. I made bad
yeah,
decisions as a child, but I had a wake up call. I realized, man, I'm better than this. My parents are better than this. I'm smarter than this, and I don't
mhm,
belong in this direction.
right,
And it was like a light bulb. Not to say we don't make mistakes after that.
sure,
Life is a never ending learning lesson.
right,
But back to like you said, it's a choice.
mhm,
Whether your life sucks or your life is awesome, you're
mhm.
100% correct.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because if you think you can, you think you can't, you're right,
Hmm.
100%. And really, I don't know what it was, man. I just felt like there was more out there than what I had.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Well,
know. I didn't have like a mentor to show me like, hey, this is how you do it. You do
mhm,
this, and then you put money in here, and you invest, and this and that.
right.
I didn't have nobody like that. The only thing I knew was to just grind. And
Yeah,
if I wasn't getting the results I wanted, the only thing I knew was to grind harder. And
totally.
and that probably wasn't the most healthy way about going about it. And it probably was the long way around, but um it was the only way I knew.
I mean, that work ethic, that's something you can't teach.
Right. Right.
You know, I can
Hmm.
teach people how to communicate. I can teach people where to be effective. I can teach people about loans
Sure.
but I can't teach people how to work hard, and I
Hmm.
can't teach people how to work from the heart,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And and
Absolutely.
and one other thing I think is important to talk on is, when we're talking about mindset as far as positivity and hustle. I remember I never took my status, socially as a final end result, you know.
Yes.
Hey, if that person, guy, girl, lady, man,
Yes.
is doing that, there's no reason I can't do that too. What do I got
Exactly.
to do to get there? Maybe I got to work a little harder, maybe I got to be a little smarter, but I can do anything I want. And I know you have a daughter. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I tell her,
Mhm.
you can be anything, you can do anything you want in this world, and I will support you 100% as long as you work hard and it
Yes.
makes the world a better place in some
Right.
way, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's
but
yeah, man, that's true, man. And like I said, dude, I see the parallels in our lives because, dude, that's yeah, 100%. That's not, and it was something weird. It was just like, man, I do see people having other things, and
yeah,
then it was more of me just wanting to know how'd you do it?
right.
Like, what did you
Totally.
do to get there? Obviously, you did it.
Hmm.
You're not better than me.
No,
Maybe you had a better upbringing, and maybe you have better education, and but there's still a way to do it. And I think it was asking like, I talked about this in other podcasts. It was like your mind's a computer, right? It's like a calculator. It's only going to spit out answers, but you got to
hmm,
ask it the right questions,
totally.
right? So
And no matter what, we're all just people, man. Everybody's just a person.
right.
Success doesn't make you better than anybody
No,
else, right?
no, not at all.
And I think that's important. That's how I carry my business. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not, I just know mortgages and finance. That's what I know.
Right.
I'm not a carpenter,
Right.
I'm not a roofer,
Right.
I'm not a landscaper. those people know that, and I
Shout out
lean
to
on
those
them for
guys
those
right now.
things. Right?
Shout out
Shout
to
out to those
roofers
guys,
and landscapers right now in this heat, in this Texas heat, man.
man.
That's
Shout
hustle.
out for
That's
real.
hustle and grind right there, man.
That's respect. When I see that,
Oh,
when I'm driving down the
100%.
road and I see a lawn crew out there with long sleeves on in 3 p.m., I'm like, tip the hat. That's work. That's
That is
real
work.
work.
Respect. Yeah. 100%. So yeah, man. So we got this work ethic. Um, you, where was the point where it just kind of clicked? Like, okay, it was, you had this upbringing. It wasn't, you didn't have a lot of money. You didn't have all the creature comforts that come with it, but you had a good upbringing, right?
Yeah.
But where was it to where it just kind of clicked for you? Was it just an
Well,
epiphany moment, or if it was it just kind of just a slow building kind of growth?
I've always kind of been enamored with entrepreneurism, right? Ever since I was a young kid,
Right.
because I think I realized the only way I'm going to be able to elevate to these different social classes or whatever, or make the kind of money or break this cycle of being poor, is to be an entrepreneur, right? And I'll tell you what, there was a moment. So my dad, we moved from that trailer house to a duplex in Houston, and I always consider Houston, Texas, where I grew up. Right, wherever you get in the most trouble is where you grow up. I got in the most trouble in Houston, but you
It's
know,
easy to get in trouble in Houston.
yeah. But I wasn't well traveled. I hadn't been to many places. I think I went to Missouri once, but other than that, I really hadn't been anywhere. My dad continued to play music, and he had some notoriety, and he was playing with some legendary blues musicians. And when I was 15, I had the opportunity. My dad was playing this big blues festival in Holland, and my dad said, "Hey, do you want to go?" And I was like, "What?" So I went over to Holland with him, first time out of the country, and I really was just taken over by the culture. I was like, man, this is so different, yet it's not, right? These people do the same things. They eat food, they enjoy, they ride bikes, they drink their
Mhm.
beer, whatever they do, we do the same things back home, just a little different.
Right.
So at 15, that was really a big eye-opening experience for me. And it made me realize, again, people are just people all across the world. But also people are doing the same thing everywhere. You could do anything you want wherever you want to do it if you set your mind to it and you put the work behind it.
Right.
And I think that was kind of a big turning point. That's when I was kind of getting in trouble as a youth.
Mhm.
And that was kind of one of the big wake up calls literally that year in my life that turned me around. I was like, what am I doing? There's so much more out here than what I'm seeing in my tunnel.
Mhm.
And I got to get out there and get it. So from then on out, I mean, my grades changed.
Wow.
I got more involved. I got into journalism. I was writing for the school newspaper. Um, I was started taking college courses towards the end of my high school, time. Uh, I was president of Junior Achievement, which was a nonprofit education corporation. And that's where I kind of fell into my place a little bit. I was like, man, okay, I do really have interest in entrepreneurship.
Right.
And, that took me to many different places in my career since then. Some
Mhm.
worked, some didn't, but
Right.
all were positive experiences that I grew and learned from.
Yeah, man. That's funny you said that because I remember as a kid, I when I saw people like that were like that, I just considered them businessmen. And that's why
Right.
when I was a kid, I just all I wanted to be was a businessman, right?
Right.
And now, like to quote the great Jay-Z, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. So
Right.
um
100%.
so yeah, I mean, so that was the only thing that I knew. I was just like, that's what I equated with success was business, and I think that's why early on too, I was like, I really wanted to own my own business and be an entrepreneur because that's those are the people that I seen that were making money. Right.
Yeah.
The other thing though, the other guys that were making money were the other entrepreneurs in my neighborhood, and those were
Right.
different entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I knew I just man, I didn't. I that's not the route that I wanted to go. I could, because I seen the end result. Because I was like, yeah, you got all this money, but you're still in the hood here with me.
Right. Well, you know, and another thing there is being a business person, male, female, don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, some people look at them and they're like, man, who did they have to screw over to get there?
Mm,
Or what did their mommy and daddy hand them to get at that position? And,
right.
you know, I don't believe business. I know for a fact business does not have to be cutthroat. Business does you don't have to screw people over to get to where you want to be. Business can be a beautiful thing, you know, and it can be done the right way with
Hmm.
integrity.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of positive impact I want to leave on this planet when I'm gone. You know,
Yeah.
hey, Gene was a man of integrity. He built his own empire, not necessarily by himself,
Right.
but he did it, you know,
Right.
and take that further and let people know through platforms like this, speaking, you know, at events that, hey, I'm no better than anybody else.
Hmm.
I came from nothing
Right.
and I didn't have to screw anybody to get here. And you can too. You could do the same thing, you know?
No, and
And
so that's really true because so at I got married at 19, and then I got in different in different businesses and finance and things, and for the first few years I kind of thought that's what it was about, like, hey
yeah,
man, I'm just gonna, and then I was just like, and after really, what happened was it started getting more difficult. And then I was like, this can't be it, right? This can't be it. I'm young, I was still in my early 20s. And then I started like getting into coach, have people,
mhm,
coaching and listening to different coaches. And the late great Zig Ziglar, man, it really resonates with me to this day. I read this in my early 20s, and now I'm like, I still, it still makes sense because it's still proven and it still works. It's, if you can help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want, right? In as far as business, right? Because
yeah,
if you make it about them, and instead of just trying to sell them, and instead of trying to make it a pitch, and hey, trying to sell them something they don't want, as a, and that's just a hard road. And I mean,
yeah,
that you're just always looking for the next just grind. But if you
well,
can actually help people that actually want to be helped, like, hey, I want, then it makes business easier. You get, and it just, it grows from there, right? You're
yeah,
really planting seeds to grow, as opposed to just trying, just eating for the day, as opposed to
totally.
planting seeds and growing a crop.
You know, and on that note, coaching, I want to talk about coaching and mentorship, man.
Yeah.
That's so important. You know, when you're a youth, if you're
Hmm.
in sports, you have coaches,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, if you're in band, you have band directors, you have
Hmm.
people that you look up to, and that never stops, man. There's billionaire CEOs. Guess what? They have coaches,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
They have all kinds of coaches because they can afford every coach. But a coach and a mentor doesn't even have to be somebody that you know personally, right? I have probably 10 mentors. They don't even know that they're my mentor. You know?
Right.
But you take their life lessons and you apply them to your life, and
Hmm.
you find people that you connect with, or that you maybe you do have a relationship with. Not everybody's going to be open to being a coach or mentor. I've learned that.
Right.
I've been promised mentorship. I've had doors closed in my face, but there are those that are say, hey, you know what, this kid's got something, it's worth my time.
Hmm.
Or take it a step further, there's those that are passionate about mentorship. I'm passionate about mentoring people
Same.
because I know it's necessary. There's people out there that are open to it, that are looking for that bright young individual, to pass on what they know, and also that helps them grow too, you know.
So yeah, I'm passionate about it because my experience,
Yeah,
like we talked about, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't
yeah,
have someone to show me, like, hey, this is how you get to the next level. I just kind of had to
right,
figure it out on my own, and I made tons of mistakes, and I wasted tons of money, and just trying to figure it out. And now I don't want to be a gatekeeper, right? Now I'm all in on like, hey, listen, let me show you what I
Right.
did and how I did it, because I didn't have someone to do that. And you know, who knows if I did have a mentor, you know, how further along I could have been. But man, I think that's important, especially to young people, man, because because I remember feeling lost and not knowing or having a direction. I just
Hmm.
knew like hey man, I just need to just grind, just grind, just grind, just grind. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, just grind. And the thing is, I lost a lot of time with my family doing that
Hmm.
because I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, right? 6 days a week, work, 10, 12 hours a day. And because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. I didn't know that there was other ways to do it. And I'm not saying that that's not the right way to do it, because you absolutely have to grind. But the
Yeah.
thing is, could that grind efforts be put maybe in a slightly different direction that you can, and get more. So, and that's really why I really love coaching, right? To see like
Yeah.
somebody go from lost and hey, listen, let me tell you how I got here. You put your own spin on it, your own little
Hmm.
seasoning, your twist on it, and you make it your own. But this is that roadmap, right? So
Yeah.
so I'm super passionate about that with young people, and just people that are maybe starting off in any avenue of business. Like, hey,
Hmm.
listen, I've been there, done that. Let me show
Yep.
you how I did it, and let's shorten up that learning curve.
A couple things you mentioned there that I definitely want to touch on. You said I made tons of mistakes.
Yeah,
Man, that's great, because I'll tell you what, if you're making mistakes, that means you're trying, right?
exactly.
If you're making
100%.
mistakes, it
Yeah.
means you're willing to take some risk,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying.
Right.
And anybody that has any level of success has made those mistakes.
Hmm.
What happens is they learn from them. They
Right.
have the scars on their back. So when
Hmm.
they do take risks, their risks are more calculated
Right.
every single time.
Right.
Um, but you also mentioned, you know, working yourself to death. And I went through a sales training. It's a very popular one. We'll just kind of leave that alone. But um, I took one big thing from that. I was at a pretty decent level of success at this time. It was probably about 10 years ago. And I had my daughter. She was young. She's 5, 6 years old. And man, I was spread so thin. I was working full time.
Mm,
I was, I'm also a DJ, so I'm DJing. Um, I kind of get that. That's a DJing's kind of my creative passion that balances
yeah.
out the finance, right?
Right. Right.
So I was working full time DJing. I was volunteering with the city that I lived in on a pretty big scale. I was volunteering at a national wildlife refuge close by. I was in the Lions Club doing volunteer work for them, and I thought it was so important for my daughter to see me out there doing all these things, right? Which it was. But I went through this specific training, and the part that really stuck out to me was, if you do that, you can't be great at anything, right? Because you're spread so thin.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. I was like, yeah, I'm I'm getting by and I'm decent at all these things, but I'm not giving any one thing my all. And not saying that you have to just give one thing your all,
Mhm.
but it really dawned on me. I was thinking, my daughter already loves me. She already sees me work hard. Maybe all these things don't mean that much to her. Maybe all she wants is just time. Right. And I was like, whoa. And I stepped back and I was like, you know what? I can't serve everybody. I've
Mhm.
got to take care of myself, number one.
Right.
As selfish as that sounds, and as
Mhm.
hard as that's to take in as a parent, you got to take care of yourself first, because if you're not good, if I'm not good, I can't be good for anybody else,
Right.
you know?
Man, that's listen, for all the dads and parents and single just parents out there, man, that's 100% true. And I'll be honest with you, over the last few years with with the pandemic and everything in there, you start questioning yourself, man. You just start like, man, is this, after everything that I've accomplished in my life, it just got to a point that I'm like, man, but you're right. Like, you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. And if you're not mentally healthy, you're not, so man, please, if people out there listening to the podcast, parents,
And
single parents, dads, and
yeah.
and I speak to dads because it's my personal experience, because we're supposed to be the rock.
Oh yeah.
We're supposed to be unshakable. We're supposed to be, and man, sometimes, dude, it gets tough. And
It does,
sometimes
man.
it's
You get the weight of the world on you, and you got to keep a smile on your face. I think there's a paradigm shift in fatherhood these days, which is a positive thing. Traditionally, I remember growing up, I didn't see my dad a lot because he was out there working his butt off, working all these jobs, and
Mhm.
that's where I got my work ethic from. That's how I learned how to work.
Right.
But that's time we can't get back, you
Mhm.
know. And the traditional dad role is you go to work, you punch the clock, you come home, you kick off your boots and eat dinner and rack out, and it's shifting now, right? Um, it's more of, that's half the job,
Right.
right? Go to
Right.
work. And, now that we have, you know, um, moms and dads both earning, both career driven, I love it. I love it because everybody's equal in my home.
Mhm.
Nobody, again, nobody's better than me.
Right.
Everybody gets respect, but my fiance, she goes out, she works her butt off. I work my butt off,
Mhm.
and my daughter gets to see both of us do that,
Right.
right? And then when I get home, that's when it's time to actually be dad. I got to be present, right? I might
Mhm.
be tired,
Yeah.
but if my daughter's showing me something, I got to pay attention because that means the world to her, and that's the
Mhm.
time we can't reclaim.
Right. Right. Man, that's so true, man. And I just don't think that, uh, you see all these it was these TikToks that were happening, is right, and it was
Mhm.
just like, it was about dads, and I
Oh
it
yeah,
was a trend. And I don't even remember the exact, like, hey, somebody asking, hey, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm good. But
right.
reality is just not,
Yeah,
so got dads, men, single mothers, parents in general,
parents in general.
take care of yourself, take care of your
Mhm.
mental, because you do have to be there. And if you're not, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. And
And
I
guess what? You'll be more productive.
Sure, absolutely. And this
Yeah,
is the thing, sometimes it's okay to ask for help.
100%. I'll tell you
you
right
know
now, I go to counseling. I have a counselor. I say I go, it's all virtual now, but it's not because I'm broken. It's just because I'm taking care of myself. I'm making sure that, hey, I'm checking in. I'm dealing with things going on in my head. And it doesn't mean that there's like crazy things, thoughts up here, but how do I deal with things? How do I approach this? And I think one thing personally that I am really working on is emotional intelligence and control over my emotions.
Mhm.
Back to talking to my daughter, it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to be jealous or sad or frustrated, but you got to recognize those emotions. And you have to realize that you're in control of them. Even though you're feeling them,
Right.
you still control them,
Right.
right? Um, and that's something I'm striving to work on constantly. That's one of the biggest areas that I'm pouring in my efforts to be better at every day.
No, man, I love it, man. I love it. And I love just really having conversations about it, to normalize it, right?
Yeah,
Just be
totally.
like, this is not the days where, we have to be, we're just a statue of a person,
Right.
right? We're we're real people.
Yeah.
We're real people. And no, and I, like I said, I want to, if anybody's listening, you guys are feeling that way, you need some I mean, get some help. There's no judgment in doing it, because it's healthy. It's
It
healthy.
is.
Because listen, I grew up in a Hispanic family, right? I'm Mexican family. We didn't talk about feelings. We barely even hugged each other. And it was like, dude, it was like, no, man, it's like, you just deal with it. And if there was some sort of, family thing going on, it was like, it's in the house and it doesn't go outside the house, and nobody
Right.
says anything. And it just, you don't talk about feelings, right?
Yeah.
And I just, and not necessarily for, not just for me, right? But I don't want my daughter to grow up like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I want to be, I want my daughter to have the things that I never had, not just like financially, but
Mhm.
like I remember my dad never told me he loved me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Not that I feel bad for myself or whatever,
Right.
but I just remember saying it, and and when he did say it, it was weird. It was weird. I was
Yeah.
like, what is wrong
Like,
with
what are you
you?
talking about? What's
Yeah,
going on?
it was drinking or whatever, and it was just like, okay, now I was like, that's weird, and I never wanted it to be like that, with
Yeah.
with my kids. So so yeah, call it soft or whatever, man. I don't call it soft, dude. I call it like, hey man, bring present, because now I can tell my daughter I love her, and she can tell me
Yeah.
she loves me, and it's not weird, right?
Man, I don't hang up the phone. I don't say goodbye without telling the people around me that I love them. Even my homies,
Yeah.
my close homies, love you, bro. You
Yes,
know.
100%.
Um,
Absolutely. I'll say that. And I don't care if it's weird or people think it's weird, dude. I love you, bro.
yeah,
So, I think it's important. I think mental health is important. I think it's important. We have to, as men, we have to, we have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our families.
totally.
So that's, I didn't want to get off on some weird tangent, man, but I just wanted the conversation to go where it goes, man. And
Yeah.
that's where it went. And I'm glad we did, because I want people out there that are listening, they're hearing this, man.
Just to wrap this up on that topic,
Yeah.
I used to put all my feelings out on Facebook, all of my feelings, and I was very transparent, sometimes
Mhm.
too transparent, but
Right.
and people would get this idea on what's going on in my life or whatever, and some people would be turned off by that. But you know what? I didn't care because I know, because people reached out on a personal level.
Mhm.
Hey, thanks for sharing that. That really spoke to me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm not here for the 80% of the people that perceive me however they perceive me. I'm here for that
Right.
20% that I actually touched and spoke to,
Mhm.
you know. Now I've dialed that back a little bit. I'm a little more private than I used to be. But that doesn't mean my door's not open.
Sure.
The coffee pot's on,
Mhm.
you know. I've got a cold glass, a cold beer for you.
Right.
I'm here for people if they need it. And sometimes that shoulder, that ear makes the difference to make people realize they're not alone.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? So, like, we're talking about, being, to taking care of yourself, because I still, to this day, I get people and family members, they'll call me up and ask for advice, or they're going
Mhm.
through this, that, and the other. And I have to be myself. I have to be. Now, I'm not saying I have to be perfect, because, with, I'm a super faithful
Mhm.
man, and I know that, like, there is no perfect, right?
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, but I have to be in a good mental state, because for whatever reason, I've been given this, whether it's this platform, or just people look up to me to say that's where I go for advice. I know that,
Mhm.
like, hey man, I got to have my mental. I got to be good upstairs to help other people. Maybe not just financially, but just because that's how they see me as, and that's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I love it though. I
Yeah.
love to have that pressure. I love to be the one that people call when, hey man, what's going? I need help with this situation, and they
Mhm.
just want to talk through it. Because, hey man, I'm going to help you talk through it, and we're gonna together we'll come up with a solution.
Totally.
And so, because of that, I know that, like, man, I got to take care of myself so I can be that, that stability for someone else that may reach out. And like I said,
Yeah.
and it happens often, and I man, I appreciate it, and I, I encourage it. I
Right.
encourage it, right?
100%.
Because there's a lot of people that, lean on me for that. And man, I really love to be in that position, to be able to help someone. Not necessarily, hey, because I want to be the guy that go. It's not about
Right.
that, man. It's just because I have life experiences, and I've gone through so much stuff that, I can probably relate to what you're wanting, what you're doing. And listen, I've done with all the mistakes that you have with zeros, right?
Yeah.
All the financial mistakes, all the crazy. I've already done that, and I bounce back from it, and and I'm not 100, and again, I'm still a work in progress, but
Mhm.
man, I love having that responsibility.
Yeah. No, that's that's one of the positive impacts we could leave on this planet, you know.
That's crazy. It was my uncle's funeral, and we were getting up and talking, and it just hit me like, what's your legacy? Because everybody
Totally.
was up and talking about stories, uh,
Mhm.
stores they had, and different things, interactions they had with them, and it really got me thinking, like, what's going to be my legacy when I leave?
Often think that. Often.
Like, what are people going to be saying at my funeral, right?
Yeah.
So I make sure, like, every day, I want to make sure that I'm helping, even to a detriment to myself.
Right.
I help people, and because that's what I want to do. I want to leave a legacy for my family, for my daughter, and,
Mhm.
and just be able to leave the earth better than you found it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right there with you. And when I make business decisions, if you if you have to think about that too much, maybe you need to reevaluate where your head's at, but it should come pretty natural if you have integrity. But yeah, I do think about what's the legacy I'm going to leave? What's the positive impact I'm going to leave? What are people going to say? Right.
right.
And your legacy doesn't have to be attributed to finance,
Hmm.
right? It's the legacy isn't the money you leave behind.
Right.
It's it's the impact you make on people's hearts. It really is. That's the stuff people truly remember. If
Yeah.
if some inheritance comes with that, great. But if not, at least you got that.
Well, that's the other thing, right? So that's the next thing. I want to talk about, man. So now that we've got to this place, man, we know who's the Gene, who's the man behind the beard. Um, so where are we at now? What are we doing now, brother? Tell us
So
about what you're doing now.
so now I'm in the mortgage industry. So long story short, I worked in the um music industry for a while. That's what brought me to Austin, Texas. That's where I'm at now. Worked in the music industry for a long time. I ran a management firm. I'd manage artists, tour manage, PR, put on events, all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
I had a pretty good career there. Just not as financially rewarding as I was hoping. Had a
Hmm.
great time, learned a lot about business. You want to talk about sales and business, man, that I cut my teeth there.
Yeah.
And then, my daughter was on her way. So I pivoted to more corporate America. And my first corporate America job, it was this local company that I would drive by. It was close to my house. I would drive by every day. And they had a sign, and their sign caught my attention. And it sounded like a fun company. So I looked them up. And I'll tell you what, I walked in there with a suit on, and I said, I'm here for the job. And they were like, what job? I'm like, I don't know. Do you have any jobs? And it was kind of funny, and it being kind of a smaller company, they liked that.
Yeah.
And I started my job there the next week. And I started off as customer service rep, and quickly worked up within that company to where I was managing over $500 million worth of inventory. I took off a project that the VP had on his plate, but he was spread too thin. He couldn't run with it.
Hmm.
So I took on that project, I grew it, and I was doing some really great things for the company that just weren't reflecting on my paycheck. Still a great company. I was like, man, I'm going to conferences in New York and Vegas, and I'm making like 40,000 a year still. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And talked to some buddies. I got into finance, right? Specifically lending in a
Mhm.
different sector than mortgages. But I got into finance, and I was very scared because it was 100% commission. I didn't know anything about finance at the time other than, what not to do, right? And and my buddy told me, he's like, how much do you make now? It's like about 40,000. It's like, I'll tell you what, if you come in and you're absolutely terrible at this job, you're still going to double your income. I was like, okay, let's go. Right. So I got in, And it's kind of financial sales. I believe everybody's a salesperson, whether they embrace it or not.
Mhm.
Um, but it was financial sales, and I'm looking around, I'm hearing these men and women talk on the phone to their clients. I'm like, man, they know what they're talking about. I don't know this stuff yet. So I said, okay, what can I do to be competitive? Not necessarily on a compete against other people level, but to be competitive in my position to where I'm doing enough. And I was like, I could outwork them and I could be more efficient. And I did just that. I was like,
Mhm.
all the knowledge will come,
Right.
right?
Right.
If I be patient, I just stick with it. And there
Mhm.
were, in that first 6 months, there was a lot of frustration because I wanted to be good at this and I just
Mhm.
didn't have the knowledge base yet. But I worked my butt off. I worked
Mhm.
hard and I put in the long hours, not to hit numbers, but to learn more
Right.
quicker, right?
Right.
And I became very efficient and very effective with my communication. And then in about 6 months, I was like, a light bulb went off. I was like, oh, I know this stuff now, right? Because I've put in more time than the other person.
Right.
And I've been able to get more done. I've had more reps because I'm efficient and effective.
Mhm.
And then once that light bulb went off, boy, I was the top salesperson month after month. I hit President's Club the first full year I was there. I put my name in the hat for management positions, and I was turned down 3 or 4 times before I finally got my management position where I was leading a team of salespeople. And even then, I was not an effective manager. I just wasn't. I didn't know how to manage people at that
Mhm.
time, and I made those mistakes. And I learned from them. I've grown from that. As an individual,
Mhm.
I've matured, but also in business sense and people sense, I've definitely matured. So I got to that point and I was pretty burnt out. I was putting in too much time and I walked away from that job. I tried a few other things. I got into insurance, which I really enjoyed, but again, I wasn't quite making the money I wanted to make. Ended up going back to that other industry where I was at before, um, where I was, managing a team. But it wasn't just, I learned a lot about credit, a lot about finance. I knew I could help people and I enjoyed it. And I got to the point where I've been recruited by multiple big companies in that area, in that space. Um, I was going to become a financial advisor. I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And I dove into it. I was like, I've got some knowledge. I understand finance to a certain degree. Let me put the education and the licenses behind that, and I could do some things. And I started pursuing that under a great mentor, good friend of mine. And about 3 or 4 months into putting my heart, soul, money into building a practice as a financial advisor, COVID-19 hit.
Mm.
Boom.
Yeah.
And that bomb just kind of blew up what I was working on.
Mhm.
Everybody was freaked out on a financial level.
Right.
Um, Nobody was going to do business with a brand new financial advisor at that time. I say nobody, but chances were pretty slim, right? So I was like, what am I going to do now? Right? Where do I go? What do I do? And the president of the company that I joined in finance originally, he had branched off, his non-compete time had ran out, and he started his own company. And I had an opportunity to jump in with them, do what I knew how to do best, picked up the pieces, and was back on track within no time, thanks to that opportunity. And I got to the point, that industry was auto refinancing. I didn't work at a dealership. Our job was to put people in better financial positions. And I was helping a lot of people. And I got to a point where I'd refinance more auto loans than anybody else in America. At over 7,000 auto loans I'd refinanced.
Wow.
And I'd made a positive impact because I lead my everything I do is to help people and put them in a better place. And I was financially rewarded for that. But I found myself at this point with this company, I was turning down management positions rather than them turning down me because I was like, man, I'm making really good money. You're telling me I'd have to come in earlier, I'd have more responsibility and maybe not make as much as I'm making now. I was like, no,
Mhm.
I'm pretty good where I'm at,
Yeah.
However, I still had that passion for mentoring. So I said, I'll tell you what, let me just stay in the role that I'm in. Let me keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to host peer to peer mentorship sessions. And I did that. I was like, I'm not going to, let's not require anybody to be a part of this. Let's let people who want to be a part of this be a part of it. Man,
Yes.
it was wildly successful. Some of the people that I mentored became top producers at that company quick. Now they're managers,
Mhm.
you know. And looking back, I didn't do that for them. They didn't have to show up. They
Right.
didn't have to listen to what I had to say. They didn't have to implement or make what I had to say their own. They did the work. They did that themselves.
Mhm.
So I don't pat myself on the back for that. I just provided the guidance. They ran with it. But like you said, man, that feeling is great. And I don't want that feeling to ever stop. Right. But I think there were 3 or 4 management opportunities they passed along to me that I passed on, or they offered me that I passed on. And that light bulb came on again. Those light bulbs, man. I
Those
was like,
dang
oh,
light bulbs.
those dang light bulbs. Hey, they've been good for me actually. But yeah, I was like, maybe I've just kind of got as far as I'm gonna get in this seat.
Yeah.
Right. So I always had this thought that, my retirement days would
Mm.
be as a realtor.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute, I'm in finance. Why don't I become a mortgage loan officer? Why
Mhm.
don't I get in that business?
Yeah.
I won't be able to help as many people per se as I have been in this seat, but I
Right.
can have a greater impact on a smaller group of people.
Mhm.
Right. So I got my mortgage license, left that company. The door was always open. Um, I dove into mortgages, and then, as I dove into mortgages, the market kind of tanked. The
Yeah.
market went really bad. And
Mhm.
man, I struggled my first year. Everybody says your first year, first 2 years, you're going to struggle, but you got to
Yeah.
fight through it.
Right.
I struggled, but put a very rough market on top of that. I was hurting.
Mhm.
So, and again, full transparency, I was too stubborn to give up. Right. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to fight through this. I'm going to make it through this market. 30% of our industry was laid off and looking for work. I maintained a job somehow.
Yeah.
But during that time, thank God I had the love and support of my fiance, and she has her own career and she was able to float us. But man, it was tough. I was DJing every opportunity I could,
Mhm.
which was some late nights. And I'm not too proud to say I was delivering pizza, right?
Listen,
I'm
man,
like,
at the end of the day, I love it, man, because it's a grind. And when you have that grind, it's like, man, you're going to do anything and everything to make your goals happen.
yeah,
And that's how you succeed, man. You just keep your eye on the prize, and nothing is beneath you to hit that
no,
goal. I love it,
it's
man.
not. In fact, it builds that character. It's a part of your story, man. And I'm not going to show you, but I'm not going to promote this company, but I have my pizza delivery hat over here on my wall in my office. I was also doing Amazon delivery, but you know what I can do while I'm delivering? I can listen to mortgage podcast.
Right.
I can listen to books on tape. So
Mhm.
I continue that
Right.
education and that mentorship, right? And I would often visualize where I would be. And that Amazon, again, I'm not promoting Amazon, but that vest is over there on the wall too. So I never forget the struggles it took to get to where I'm at today. And one of the things that I do that I would love for the audience out there to try, anybody, if you're going through struggle or a tough time, I remember I got on my Google Calendar, and
Mhm.
man, I was in tears, man. I was like, man, things are tough right now, but I know they're going to get better because
Right.
I'm not going to give up, right?
Yeah.
I would sit there on my calendar. I would put out 1 year reminder, so,
Mhm.
you know, 2022 to 2023, and I would just document what struggles I'm dealing with right now,
Yeah.
right? And then in 1 year from then, I get that calendar reminder. Reality check is what I titled it. Reality check.
Mhm.
I got to go back and look at what struggles I was dealing with exactly 1 year ago. And then I get to sit back and see where I'm at now and how
Sure.
much I've grown.
Right.
And hey, I may not be exactly where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I
Mhm.
was a year ago.
Man,
Right.
listen, man, you can't have, and again, this is something that, you can't have a testimony without a test.
100%.
And you say that about the hats and everything else. And again, this is not something that I planned. It's my wallet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I always keep in here, that I've always kept in here as a reminder. And
The anticipation, the
this is
anticipation.
this is real, man. Listen, this is my wallet right here. Look, this is what I keep in here as a reminder.
Yeah. For those of y'all may not know what that is, I do.
That's
That's a
my
WIC
Lone Star
card.
card, brother. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's food stamps.
that's food stamps.
Um,
Yeah.
and and I keep that there just to know like where you came from
Mm-hmm.
and whatever struggles you're going through now, you know, it could always be worse.
It could always be worse, you know it, and it can always get better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's to keep me humble, man. That keeps
Mm-hmm.
me humble.
I
It's
love
right
that.
here next to my American Express. It's
Right.
that's and I keep it there. And I keep it there just as a reminder.
And
And
that's the thing. And what I consider true success isn't something, dad lent me $1 million and I built an empire, right? True success for me is people that started with not much or nothing or very little and built and took something there and made something out of it, right? And I would put money on it that there's not one person that falls in that definition of success that has not had to struggle, that has not driven around with their gas line on 5 times in 1 week
mhm,
just to get to a meeting so that they can grow their business, right? Um, our audience might be people in the mortgage industry, it might be realtors, it might be anybody out there.
right.
Just keep grinding, keep pushing, but try to make your decisions and where you spend your time the most effective, right? And if you stay consistent, one of the hardest things to do is not let your personal life and financial situations bleed into your professional life and
Right.
financial situations. Because if you allow that wall to be broken down,
Mhm,
your decisions are going to be different, right? So stay consistent,
right.
take care of yourself. These are all important things, but you know, there's nobody out there that has success that did not go through tough
Mhm.
times, that did not
Exactly.
struggle,
Exactly.
you know?
Something that we were at the seminar a few weeks back in Austin, and and it was I mean, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, man. It says, it said in the word millionaire,
Yeah,
there's a couple of L's in it.
yeah,
There's a couple of L's in the
mhm,
word millionaire.
totally, yeah,
Right. So that means, man, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna have those losses. But the other thing, I seen something on social media the other day. It was like, no matter what you're going through or whatever, you're living at least one of your dreams. Like
yeah,
from when you were and I look back at it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not living one of my dreams. I'm living like 10 of my dreams, right? No
yeah,
matter, it's all perspective, because sometimes we just get in our head, right? And I'm just like, I'm not living just one of my dreams. I'm living like 10 of my dreams. I look back and be like, man, I am living in the neighborhood, and I give out the full size candy bars on Halloween, man. And yeah, I am that. So it's just a testament to like, hey man, how far we came, and man, there's still room to grow. But man, just sometimes you just gotta just stop, take a deep breath, and
mhm,
just like, dude, just take a look around and be like, man, you know what? I actually, if me looking at myself as a kid, I'd be like, dude, you made it. Let's go. Right. And again, now there's still more to do.
yeah,
But I mean, I think my younger self would be proud of me.
yeah, definitely, 100%. And speaking of that, at that specific seminar, so I grew up again pretty modestly. We were big into baseball. Baseball was our thing, and mind you, I am, always will be a diehard Astros fan. I was a catcher growing up, so Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, man, that was the era. He was something special as a catcher. He was Nolan Ryan's catcher. He
Go.
just had an incredible career, but he
Yeah.
could do things as a catcher that nobody else could.
Right.
And my brother and I were both catchers. We grew up watching him, even though he was on the Rangers. He
Mm-hmm.
had this talent that was just unmatched. And, you know, that same seminar, I got to share the stage with Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, somebody that I grew up idolizing, you
Let's
know,
go.
and
Let's
Paul and
go,
I,
man.
here, hold on.
I got my hat back here. I got my hat, signed hat. Let's go.
Well, you can't really see it that well, but here's an autographed baseball MLB Hall of Famer Pudge Rodriguez,
Yeah.
and here I am sharing the stage with him and still learning from him just on a
Mhm.
different level.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a great moment for me. I was like, man, my childhood me would be proud of myself, but I'm not done.
Right.
Right. And success to me isn't millions in the bank. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Money helps. Success to me is being able to help other people,
Right.
being financially stable enough that I can give
Mhm.
or I can go and
Mm.
I can do the things and experience what I want to experience on this short time that we have. And does money afford those things? Of course,
Sure.
right? But I've had a lot of money and I've lost a lot of money,
Same.
right? And
I've made
it
mistakes with zeros.
but you know what though? I was talking to a friend last week. He's going through some career trouble. He's in the tech industry. He
Yeah.
got laid off like a lot of people. He's having some family issues and he's a brilliant guy. He's a veteran. He's out there, installing commercial doors right now, working his butt off. And I took last weekend to go spend some time with him. And one of the things I talked about was, man, I know you're going through it. That's why I'm here, to let you know that we love you, we support you, and just don't get stuck in this cycle where you're chasing a paycheck,
Right.
right? You have talents, you have experience that are valuable. Don't forget that, right? You may feel like you had something and you lost it, but I'm here to tell you, nobody built that for you in the first place. You built it
Right.
yourself.
Yeah.
And whereas you may have lost your way, you can get your groove back, bro. If you
Mhm.
built it once,
Yep.
you can
You can
build it
do it
again
again. That's
and
right.
again and again and even stronger every single time. And my boy got his resume redone. He's motivated. And I'm like, I get it. Your boss at the commercial door place, he doesn't understand when you need to take an hour or two off to go do a job interview. But that time, the hour or two, the return on that could be tenfold what you're making
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So you
man.
got to make that time, man. You got to break the
Ooh.
cycle and step out and make it happen because you got this.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's not about how many times you fall, man. It's about how many times you get up.
100%.
Get up.
But now, I'm in mortgages. I absolutely love what I do. I have embraced this industry and I am 100% a mortgage nerd. And
All right. So
realtors,
what's next, brother? What's next?
what's
What's
next?
the next step? What's the next big thing for Gene Griffin?
Man, we're gonna throw it out there. So I run Summit Mortgage Solutions. We specialize in residential investment and commercial real estate lending. Um, I've built this brand under the principles of integrity, a servant heart, follow through, and elevated service. And I've got beat up in this industry when I first started. So offering mentorship to those new to the industry so they don't have to get beat up like I did is very, very important to me. But just helping people grow their business, whether you're a realtor or an investor, or helping that family get their first home, or helping the wealthy person, increase their portfolio. That's what we're here to do. We're not here for transactions. We're here for relationships.
Right.
And Paul, you're in the mortgage industry, aren't you?
I'm actually am in the mortgage industry. Now that you say that, yeah, I am.
Well, one thing that we have going on that I'm pretty excited about is, Paul and I are old friends, or fast friends, I'd say. We've, developed a really good relationship. Paul and I are going to be teaming up soon. Um, Paul and I are going to be running Summit Mortgage Solutions together.
Let's go.
And I'm super excited about that because I can't and I don't want to do this on my own.
Right.
Right. What I can do it on my own. I don't want to do it on my own.
Right.
And I can be more effective with a partner like Paul. And we're gonna do some pretty amazing things. And again, we have the same heart, we have the same upbringing. We want to help others. If you
Mhm.
help enough people,
Right.
those financial rewards will follow.
Sure.
So stay tuned. We're going to be growing Summit
We're
Mortgage Solutions.
listen, we're building a team, guys. Listen, we're building a team of a select few individuals, man, that are like-minded, that want to grow, that want to learn, people that maybe have been in the industry for a while and they just feel like they're stale and they're not getting the growth, and we understand where the economic situation in the country is. But listen, at the end of the day, loans are being done every day. Homes are being sold every day, right? So with our mentorship, with our background, with all of the ancillary businesses that we have, we're going to take this thing, we're going to combine everything and take it to the next level. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're definitely, we're going to have a select group of people that we're going to bring on board, that we're going to mentor, and we're going to help them grow their business. And again, just like we said, we're going to obviously, if your business grows, we're going to grow with you.
Yep.
So that's what our motto is. Like I said, Zig Ziglar says, if you can help enough people achieve their goals and get what they want, then you'll get what you need.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what we're doing. And I'm super excited about it. I'm ready to get going. I'm
I am
ready
too, man.
to get out and let people know what we're doing, how we're doing it, and just invite like-minded people that really understand, that really have that drive to take their business to the next level, and know that, man, we're going to be behind you 100%. Right. We're
Yeah.
going to be right there with you, helping you grow your business. And, we're going to, pull our assets together and make sure that you grow and your business grows, because if it does, our business will grow. So yeah.
Yeah.
So absolutely, man, I'm excited about it.
I am too.
I can't wait. I just feel like this is the next chapter of our life, right? We're going
100%.
into the new season. This is the next chapter, man. I just can't wait to see how this, how we write this book.
And what's great about it is, I've established a brand, right, that is trusted. I maintain 5 stars on Google. The brand's fairly new, but hey, we're doing pretty good, you know. And the 5 star is very important to me. That's not just from clients. Those 5 star reviews are from realtors,
Mhm.
account executives at companies that we associate with, underwriters, processors. They're from colleagues. That's very important to me because,
Right,
man, that says a lot about how we do our business,
right,
right? And when Paul says a select few of people, we're not just going to throw people at the problem and try to make money off of people. We want to develop people.
right,
We want people that have the same mentality and mindset and integrity that we do, so that when, doesn't matter who you're talking to at Summit Mortgage Solutions, that's what you're going to get.
right.
And that's something we are going to work very hard to protect and maintain and grow. And I just, like you said, I can't wait to see where this goes. I can't wait to see how many people we can help. You know, we aim, I'm licensed in 5 states right now. I'm actively licensed in 5 states. I actually hold 11 licenses. We do 4 business purpose loans, commercial investment, and more than half the country. But we're going to start our focus in Texas. And we aim to be one of the big names in Texas. When people think about mortgages, or realtors think about mortgages and they see our name at an event, or they see one of our representatives at an event, they'd be like, I need to go talk to them. They do business right, you
Right.
know,
Yep.
and that's our goal.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. I can't wait. I'm super excited to really get this thing going, man, and
Yeah.
just to see how many people we can actually help. I'm excited about mentoring and helping people grow their business, and just really giving them my knowledge and experience, and or collaborating with someone that has just as much knowledge and
You
experience.
know what? We can learn from our people too every
Yeah,
day,
absolutely. And
you know?
again, like I said, and do it in a way that's ethical, do it in a way that people are going to keep coming back. Cause I know, listen, you got to plant that seed and water that seed and nourish that seed, and then you're able to, harvest your
Yeah,
crops. And
totally.
that's what we're about, man. We want to plant, nourish, and water, and know that, hey, the crops are going to come.
Yep.
But hey, you can't get that end result without doing that work in there. So that's
Absolutely.
that's where I'm at. That's where my heart's at, and I think that's where we're going to take this company, man. I'm
I'm so
excited.
excited. I'm so excited. And I know there's people out there that are excited to be part of the team as well. So that being said, if you're in mortgages, or you're a realtor, or whatever the case, and you have interest in learning more about what we're doing or what we actually do,
Right.
reach out, give us a call.
What's the contacts? What's the contacts? Drop the
Contact. So summitmortgagesolutions.com, summitmortgagesolutions.com. G Griffin, so GGRIFFIN at summitmortgagesolutions.com. We're on the Instagram at Gene Griffin Mortgage or at Summit Mortgage Solutions. You can find us on Facebook there as well. I'm on TikTok at Gene Griffin Mortgage. But I'll throw my phone number out there.
Throw it out.
Phone number is 512-517-9822. Call, text, email, send a carrier pigeon, reach out. One thing that no matter what stage I'm gracing, what conference I'm speaking at, if you see my face on a commercial or a billboard, whatever, I'm just a person, man. I'm just a person like anybody else. I'm not on a pedestal. And that's one of the things we want to carry. I'm not above anybody. I'm approachable. You call me, you text me, unless I'm tied up with family or something like that, I'm going to get right back to you or we're going to talk, and that's the kind of mentality that we have at Summit Mortgage Solutions. We'll talk to anybody. Nobody's more important. Nobody gets better service than the next person. I don't care if it's a $75,000 equity loan or a $3 million jumbo mansion. Everybody gets the same level of service.
Love it, man. Love it. Hey, man, thanks for coming on. I'm excited about our new partnership.
I am too, buddy.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what, together, what we're able to build. And man, let's do it. Let's go.
Let's go, Paul. Thanks again for having me, man. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Just guys, hey, listen, if you're in the market for a mortgage, man, definitely reach out. If you're in the market you need a change of scenery. If you're a loan officer, a new loan officer, an experienced loan officer, and you just need some mentorship, some help, listen, reach out. We got a lot of great things that we're offering.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things that just coming on board that would cost you elsewhere hundreds of dollars a month. We're just giving you those, plugging you right into what's working for us. And essentially you if you have a list of clients, you bring them, or if you have, if you don't have any, we're going to help you build that up, and we're going to show you how to do that, show you how we generate leads, and show you how we work the way we work. So it'll definitely reach out. If you are realtors, reach out as well. If you're needing a change of scenery as well, come see what we got.
One last thing there, Paul.
Yeah.
Value. We're all about value.
Yes.
Value with our community, our clients,
right,
our referral partners, realtors, that's you,
right,
and our loan officers, right? And what do you say, Paul, about value?
So a sale is made when the value exceeds the cost.
Bingo.
Right. So that's all we're trying to do. Bring as much value to our realtor partners, to our lenders, to our other loan officers. We want to bring value to where you see like, hey, this is a no-brainer. I'm here. Yeah. I'm getting more back than I'm giving. This is realtors, especially for loan officers. Are you getting more back than you're giving?
Right.
If you're not, give us a call.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. That's it,
Thanks,
man.
Paul.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
You,
Thanks for coming on, man. And y'all stay tuned.
To come back.
Yeah, man. Y'all stay tuned to see what the next chapter of this is, how it plays out. All right, guys. Let's go. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.